And welcome back to another episode of the Double Dunk Podcast. My name is Brenden Deen. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're talking strictly Philadelphia Eagles. I am joined by Thomas Petersen. We're going to figure out if the Eagles can salvage their season. It is absolute chaos in Philadelphia Eagles land, and no one else will do it to my man, my friend, Mr. Thomas Petersen. Thomas, you're muted. Just a heads up, but how are you doing? How's life going? You were
Are we salvaging the 10-4 Eagles?
It's crazy. I've never I don't think there's ever been a 10-4 team in NFL history that has vibes around their squad like the current Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, probably it's been, but yeah, recency bias. It does not feel good.
It does not. The Eagles of the last 2 weeks have been very newsworthy for the Eagles, especially on Sunday. They didn't even play on Sunday. You had the Matt Patricia fiasco. You had the Jalen Hurts flu fiasco, and then they play on Monday night. They blow a lead late in the fourth quarter. The Seahawks go all the way down the field, drive and score a touchdown, 92 yards in under 2 minutes to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. This episode, we're going to kind of just zoom out a little bit, just have a discussion for 25, 30 minutes and talk about what we're feeling, what's wrong, what can get better, if they can salvage your season. I think the best place to start is the Matt Patricia news and what happened there. I guess I'll just throw it to you. What did you make of what happened when you found out the news that Matt Patricia was taking over the defensive play calling?
I guess it was a little bit back and forth with it because on one point you don't want your team to be making such radical changes at this point in the season, but then also I think I was at a point where something just had to happen. Like they were so bad that like they had a few good weeks in the beginning of the season, and the run defense sort of carried them a little bit up to the bye week in terms of, EPA and all these kind of stuff. But ever since the bye week, it's just been they've just found ways to noticeably look like the worst team on third and fourth down. And it wasn't even like you don't have to look up the stats to know that this team is among the worst in the league. And then when you do look up the stats, you notice that they are actually,
and they literally are.
They're the worst in the league, by far. Like sometimes we watch the Eagles and we get caught up in the emotions of watching the Eagles because we're Eagles fans. But then you watch the stats, it's like, holy shit, this really does match what my feeling is, and nobody else in the league is as bad at this as the Eagles. So something absolutely had to happen. Now, I was worried about how it would affect the whole dynamic of the team, and how the players would sort of respond to such radical change, because we always know that there are players who have the coach's back and who really like the coach. And so how would they respond to Matt Patricia now suddenly being the defensive coordinator? And I think the press conference today was a step in the right direction in terms of making this a partnership between Matt Patricia and Sean Desai, not just, Patricia taking over and shoving him to the side, but that these two guys are in the same boat in terms of figuring out this shit. And that's fine on off the field, and that it's a step in the right direction off the field, but I mean, they just lost the game on a 92-yard drive to Drew Lock, and so it's not like it was good.
No,
Like
it's funny because if that drive doesn't happen, like let's say Jalen Hurts, because I just from that, like the reason the Eagles lost that game, in my opinion, was Jalen Hurts in the offense. It wasn't the defense. Of course, that last drive looked bad, and it was bad. It's funny because the Seahawks it took the Seahawks 97% of way through the game to realize, hey, we should just be targeting these cornerbacks with DK Metcalf. And once they started doing that, it did work. So I think it was part blame on just the Seahawks offensive game plan. But I do believe that the reason they lost that game was the offense, not Matt Patricia and the defense. So I think this is a whole different conversation if the Eagles win this game.
Yeah, for sure. Like if they're able to pick up that 3rd and 7 at the end of the game and salt the game away and just run the clock out, we wouldn't be we wouldn't be panicking about it. But it's still just the mere fact that they had 1 minute and 42 seconds and one timeout, and they didn't need any of it. Like
None. They didn't use the timeout. They didn't even take the timeout that they had.
Didn't even take the time out. And man, it's there's so much wrong. And I think if you're, I think so. When you kick Sean Desai out the sideline and you make Matt Patricia the play caller, you've set yourself. You've expressed that we're willing to make radical changes to make this thing work. So for me, when I'm watching the last couple of weeks, I'm sitting here and thinking, okay, when does Kelly Ringo start instead of James Bradbury? When does Eli Ricks take over the outside cornerback job?
They look pretty
Because
good in
it's
that game. They were the best players on the defensive side of the ball against Seattle, in my opinion. Well, Keely Ringo was one of them. Here's a question for you. Hold that thought. I want to ask kind of a big picture question about Patricia. If, let's say, on Sunday morning you got the news that they fired Sean Desai and Matt Patricia was taking over defensive coordinator and defensive play calling duties, would you have felt better or worse about it?
I think it would have felt worse because I think it's a
Worse?
very
Okay.
I think it's that's a very radical move. Like I know this was very eye opening, especially for a team that is at that time 10-3, um, and very much so in the race for the NFC tie for the first seed in the NFC, yada yada, all this kind of thing. I think it would be sending a wrong message to the players that um if you're not doing well enough, we're gonna just execute you. Like all the hard work that Sean, we know he's been working his butt off. He's the first. It's the first DC job he's had. He may not be good at it. The results doesn't show anything, but
Well, he
he's
had
been
the
with.
Bears job for that 1 year, right? So I think it
Oh
was
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
2019.
I
Yeah.
guess
It
you're right.
was a few
But
years
I
ago.
mean, he is without a doubt been working his ass off this season to kind of get the defense implemented, and it's his defense basically still that they're running. It's um so I think it would send the wrong message in terms of like everything we've done sucked and we can do none of it. I think this is while it's still eye opening, I think it's a more diplomatic way of saying something needs to change. But they're like I think it would split the locker room tremendously if you just fired him outright. Um,
That's fair. My biggest problem with it is, well, not problem, but the weirdness aspect of it is keeping Sean Desai around. Like I'm gonna disagree. Like I think if you're gonna make this change, just fire him. Do you think Sean Desai still wants to be here? Like,
yeah, yeah. Like honestly, I think they had the conversation. I think they sat down with Sean Desai and Matt Patricia before they made this move here, and basically sort of like sorted these things. And I would imagine at least to kind of sort this thing out because if they're going to be working together, it doesn't make sense that to put them in the same room to work with each other unless they think they can make that work.
it's weird, no? Like you're forcing this partnership onto this 10-3 football team. Like to me, like if you want to just make a change, make a change. Like send Sean Desai home. I have a hard time believing that Sean Desai is okay with all of this. One, obviously he's not. He's demoted. Like losing your job sucks, right? It's demoralizing.
Counterpoint: what if Sean Desai expressed that he wasn't feeling well about the job?
Wasn't feeling well about the job.
Yeah, like if he felt like he was in over his head in terms of what he was like, what he was
I
able to
don't
like,
know if he would
ability.
really admit that, would he?
I don't know. I mean, the stats shows that he has with the worst defense in the league. If he's confronted, like he's been confronted by Nick Sirianni and Harry Roseman in terms of like, dude, what's going on? Like, this is the worst shit in the entire league. It's like, if he's expressed any sort of uncertainty about his ability to carry out the job, common ground would probably be all right. Let's try to figure this out. Um, I just what I'm trying. I'm not saying that necessarily what's happened. It's just like sometimes I think it's more complicated than just people pointing at Sean Desai and saying you're not the defensive coordinator anymore. Like I think sometimes it can go a little bit mutual wasteward because let's just say like for Sean Desai it would be career suicide for him if he just continued this outright disaster of a team and everybody could see that they're losing because they have the worst defense in the league. For him, it would be much more salvageable if he still has a DC title and he's working together with Matt Patricia to kind of like fix this mess.
That's fair.
Also, like,
I don't
Matt
think I don't
Patricia
think
is a
he.
super experienced guy. Like, for all the shit that's been going on with Lions and all that, like, his time with the Patriots was pretty bueno.
Yeah, he can
So
call a defense. That's why he got the Lions job. Was because he was a
exactly.
good
So
defensive play caller.
that's
Of course, the
basically
Super
also
Bowl didn't
what
go
what
well,
what what,
but
what Patricia kind of pointed out today as well. Is like this is still Sean Desai's implemented defense that they're running. This is what they're still building off. Like he said, like you said, it's the Philadelphia Eagles defense. He's calling it, but it's still what Sean Desai has implemented throughout the year. I
mhm.
think that was a very good way of expressing it. That maybe Matt Patricia is more capable of calling a defense, whereas Sean Desai is much more capable in terms of designing the defense. So if they can make that partnership work in terms of who's calling it and who's designing it, like we always see with head coaches and offensive coordinators,
Mhm.
like Nick Sirianni, this is basically his offense, as Brian Johnson is calling it. So like if that's the same sort of partnership that they sort of need, and it allows Desai to focus a lot more on the execution design aspect of it, could sit in a booth and have an overview of what's going on in the field, and Matt Patricia can call it and he can call the feedback. Who knows? Maybe it'll work. We'll see. This was the first game against the Seahawks. We'll know more whether or not this is going to be working down the stretch.
Oh yeah, like you're not gonna get a lot from this game. I thought there were a couple interesting kind of tweaks. They played cover one a lot against the Seahawks, especially on that last drive. And I didn't think it was meant. I don't think they should have played cover one a lot on that last drive. Like, I don't think there was a need to have James Bradbury one on one on the outside with DK Metcalf on both those plays. I know the second one he was playing the sticks, but there was still no safety help behind him, right? Like, he was basically on an island there. I think that's what Matt Patricia like philosophy is. If you go back to his New England days and what he kind of got famous for and what he got the head coaching job for was playing a lot of press man, a lot of man to man coverage, not a lot of help behind it, kind of clogging throwing lanes, and that's what you're probably going to see transition more. The one thing I did like as well is you saw Sidney Brown play in a lot more areas of the field. You saw Eli Ricks play in his natural spot. So I do think he's putting the players like I think right away he probably thought in the back of his head like Eli Ricks should not be in the slot. Sidney Brown should be playing all over the field, kind of used as a weapon on the defensive, specifically just as a safety. Like I think already you're starting to see maybe something that he's been thinking of and what he thought Sean Desai should have already done. He implemented right away in that first game, and that's what you saw. But there's not too much what you can kind of take away. It's just I think you're going to start to see this team play more man to man and not live and die by soft zone coverage. I think that's the big philosophy change you're going to see.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
But this defense is not going to win football games, no matter who's calling plays, if they don't get after the quarterback. It's pretty straightforward. They're 13th in sacks right now, 23rd in sack rate, 32nd in third down sack rate, dead last in third down sack rate in the NFL. And they have Hassan Reddick on a contract, Josh Sweat on a big contract. They have first round picks for Jordan Davis, first round picks Jalen Carter. They have used a mass resources on that defensive line. And if they can't get after the quarterback, this team's not going to win football games. I don't care if it's Matt Patricia calling plays. I don't care if it's Sean Desai calling plays. I don't care if Bill Belichick and his prime's calling plays. This team is built to get after the quarterback. If that doesn't happen, they're not going to win games. They don't have the guys on the back end to kind of counter that. It's the way Howard Rosen has built this roster. It's pretty
Yeah.
simple as that. And I do think like the stunts are not working on the D line. Like they're not doing a very good job of kind of opening up lanes for these pass rushers either. It's a lot of just go beat the guy in front of you.
Yeah. True.
Is there anything specific that you saw from the defense that Matt Patricia did differently that you want to throw in?
Yeah, just the mere fact that we saw Eli Ricks be able to play more outside. I think that was nice to see. I mean, they rotated in there with Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks, and I think both of them did a real good job with that. I think it was nice to see. It was nice to see Sidney Brown get on the field a lot more. He's such an exciking player.
Yeah, with the freaking hair on fire, man. Just always
exactly. I mean, I think he's a guy who's really going to split the waters in terms of whether you like him or not. Like if you like that sort of play style, he's going to be making a ton of misplays. He's also going to be making a ton of plays. So it's yeah, to me that's a little bit of the Asante Samuel sort of play style. Like you'll see big plays happen over and over again. You're also going to see some terrible plays from time to time. He totally different player, of course. Like Sidney is a lot more physical. He'll shoot up for the big play. I I don't think I ever saw Asante Samuel like deliver a massive hit, like with pure physicality, head on head. But yeah, that's another story.
It was just jumping routes, like similar kind of make like
Yeah, exactly. Like
live or die by the
aggressive play
sword.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was really nice to see. I think he can be a baller. But yeah, no. Linebacker is still a disaster.
Oh, Shaq Leonard, man. Whew. Tough game for Shaq Leonard.
Man,
That
I miss
was
TJ Edwards. I really,
yeah.
really miss TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards is playing lights out football for the Chicago Bears right now too.
Yeah, still. Yeah, I mean,
I
Casey
don't think the
White.
Eagles should have signed TJ Edwards. Like I don't want that's where my opinion should go. I don't think they should have paid the money for him. He's played well, and I actually think the big reason why they lost in the Super Bowl was because of TJ Edwards. He played really bad against the Chiefs, but at the same time,
So did Bradbury.
yeah, that's fair. It was nice. It was nice to have a little bit more stability at linebacker last year for sure. But
Yeah, it's also just falling apart. Like where you thought Deen would come in and be the guy, and he's nowhere. And
yeah, like a lot of the bets Howie Roseman made on the defensive side of the ball, like extending James Bradbury or re-signing James Bradbury, extending Darius Slay, the Dean draft pick, the safety position, kind of leaving it kind of up in the air. Like a lot of those bets just haven't paid off yet. And he cut Derek Barnett. You traded Contavious Street. Like a lot of your defensive line depth is gone too. So I don't think like Howie Roseman, I don't think this is like a huge roster problem overall, but I do think the defense, like a lot of the single bets that he made on the defensive side of the ball and panning out. I want to go back to your Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo comment because James Bradbury over the last 2 games in coverage, 15 targets, 13 catches, 9 first downs allowed for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Every single target that was the Seahawks did, or the Seahawks, every single receiver that the Seahawks targeted on that last drive, James Bradbury was in coverage. In a defense that had Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, 3 rookies, Reed Blankenship on the back end, Seattle said, James Bradbury is the guy that we want to target. That's not good. That's not good overall in big picture for the Eagles. So I think
every single time he was targeted, he allowed either a first down or a touchdown.
It was bad. And it's coming like it's matching the stats I just threw up were bad. The eye test now is like
he's allowed 9 touchdowns himself. Him single-handedly has allowed 9 touchdowns this season. Leads the league.
That's nasty work. What would you do going forward? Or would you put Bradbury on the bench?
Did you notice how they were substituting Josh Jobe, Eli Ricks, and Keely Ringo?
So Jobe had 2 snaps in that game. Kind of confused where those.
And he stuck on both of them.
I don't really know where those 2 snaps. I don't know if it was injury based or because when I was looking at the snap chart today, I'm going. I remember the Josh Jobe had the big catch. I remember it was on the left side of the field. I'm going. I don't really remember him after that. But they were rotating Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo in. Those were kind of
I think that is where James Bradbury deserves to be in that rotation as well. I think Seahawks had a very interesting approach to Tariq Woolen, who I don't know what was going on there. He was in and out. Like it sounded like he was being disciplined a little bit by the Seahawks in that game. They took him out. They substituted him in. I think that would be a clear message to James Bradbury, sort of in the sense of the same like when we shot his eye. Like instead of just downright benching one of your players that you pay a lot of money and you expect to be a leader in the locker room, rotate. Like have other guys come in and contribute.
Slay out. So you think they should just do a whole 3-man rotation, like for
Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, and James Bradbury. Yeah, I don't know how long.
33% of snaps, something like that.
Play the hot hand. Like if Keely Ringo is balling out, don't take him off the field. If James Bradbury has a redemption game and he's balling out, don't take him off the field.
The thing I like about Keely Ringo is he's athletic, fast, and big, and that's what this defense needs on the back end right now.
He's exactly.
Physical. Like they need guys that can step up in the run game. They need guys that are athletic. Like they don't have a lot of athleticism on the back end, especially with a guy his size. So I really feel like Keely Ringo needs to be on the field going forward.
Yeah, and
I think he should be starting. Like I don't think like rotating him out. I think Keely Ringo needs to start on this defense.
That's fair. That's fair, but also like I think there needs to be room for like if he has a bad game, like still a rookie.
Yeah.
So like if his head is boiling over in a game where he's getting worked by I don't know. This should be there should be some rotation without being punishment. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Same goes with Eli Ricks. I mean, if the game gets too big for him, have these guys rotate depending on how they're doing on the day.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they do in the secondary because it sounds like Darius Slay's gonna miss a couple more games. He's not going on IR. My guess is Darius Slay's not back to the wild card round. If everything kind of goes as planned, but we'll see. I just think Keely Ringo needs to be on the field, and I'm almost at the point where James Bradbury's unplayable. Like I know it sounds bad, and like I might be giving up on the guy too early, but it's not working right now. Like the stats are ugly. Teams are targeting him specifically when rookies are on the field. Like you can't live down by down like that. So especially if they want to play this new kind of man-to-man cover one style that Matt Patricia is probably going to implement more and more as the season goes on. I don't know if he can be on the field for you.
Right. Yeah.
Might be too harsh, but it's kind of where I'm at right now.
Still, it's kind of tough because we're also what are we? 3 games removed from him having the biggest play of the game, biggest play of the day on defense against Buffalo when he picked off Josh Allen on a perfectly read pass to Stephon Diggs.
I think that was more of just a bad throw. You're right; it was a nice play.
It was a really good read. I mean, he read that play all the way. He bailed from the flat, went straight inside and picked it off. That was a really good play. But yeah, you're right. We're looking at one good play in a lot of games.
And the Bills set over 500 yards of offense in that game. Like,
just look at it. I mean, Casey game as well. 5 targets, 2 receptions for 7 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but then there's some bullshit. Like, and then it's 1 touchdown allowed against the Cowboys, 2 touchdowns allowed against the Washington Commanders, a touchdown allowed against the Dolphins, a touchdown allowed against the Rams, and then you have touchdowns against Dallas, you have touchdowns against the Seahawks. So there's a lot of bad in there. Like, but it's like I said, sometimes they hit the day and they're playing well. But yeah, if the idea is to transition over to a man heavy press defense, Kelly Ringo and Eli Ricks are better players right now.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting. One more thing on the defense. They I don't know if you noticed on the last drive, but Jordan Davis didn't see the field at all on that last drive. They did not trust him to rush the passer. Moro Ojimo was on, I think, 5 snaps on that last drive. So
go
and over Brandon Graham and Jordan Davis. I don't know. Like the D line rotation. Like I think it's telling if they don't trust Jordan Davis on that final drive on the field. I don't know if it's the right call. It might be. Who knows? They know it better. But if your first round pick can't get on the field for your 7th round rookie, I think you got some problems.
Yeah.
Anything else on the defense before we go over to the offense?
Nah.
All right. Offense side of the ball. Thomas, what's wrong with the Eagles offense?
Where do we start?
Oh, boy. There's a lot to dig into here.
Why is Quez Watkins playing over Ozzy?
I don't get it.
Or Julio, for that matter. I don't buy the whole he's a decoy down the field because they don't use it for shit anyway.
And that's all he's good for, apparently. And like that's not good enough to see playing time. Do you think like if that was true, you just sign any track star, any guy that runs under a 4.4 and put him on the field?
Nobody respects a dude who can't catch a football. Like why yeah. Quez Watkins tires me. Like every time he gets targeted in a game, he just makes a play that it results in
always a negative outcome.
It's always a negative outcome. It's always those games that result in losses.
So what do you think the big issue is? Zoom out. Big picture look. What's wrong with the Eagles offense? Why are they struggling? What's the last 3 games specifically on their 3-game losing streak? They have not scored over 20 points. Jalen Hurts. I thought the Seahawks game was the worst Jalen Hurts has looked all season, especially in the second half of that game. Why is the $250 million quarterback struggling right now? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know if it's injury related still. Like if we're still on that boat, probably he looks slow and he looks clumsy. That's basically what I'm saying. Like whenever he takes off running, I'm kind of cringing a little bit. And I did. He was a force when he was running the ball last year. He was making guys miss. He was plowing for first down yardage. He was a big time threat as a runner. This year, it's just horrific. Like him taking off running is bad. And I think there's a disconnect between what the coaching staff with the offensive coaches think of him as a runner and what he actually is as a runner. Like they still have an offense designed around Hurts as if he is this elite running
Yes.
dynamic guy, and he's just not that anymore. Like he doesn't make guys miss. He doesn't plow for first down yardage. He is not executing the RPO offense to a very high level right now, and teams aren't respecting him as a runner, so they're crashing down on everything else. And whenever he's sniffing contact, he goes down awkwardly, looks weird, runs slow, doesn't take contact. And if you can't see that as a coach and adjust your offense to it and start pounding the freaking football with your running backs and letting your offensive line do the work instead, have some actual pass concepts out there that doesn't just evolve around an RPO game where Hurts is reading 1-2 take off. It's then the coaches are failing. So I think Hurts is obviously not the player he was last year physically, and they're asking him to be that, and they can't adjust the offense to what is actually happening on the field.
Yeah, I think you made a great point there where they're acting, their offense they're running is like they have 2022 Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, a player of that caliber that can run the football. And it's just not. And when you have a system that's dialed up like that, you're basically playing 10 on 11, right? Like that's how the offense is going to run. Right now, there are only two quarterbacks that have more carries or design run story than Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson and Taysom Hill, and he's far below that in success rate. Right now, he's 15th in quarterback success rate on design carries next to Jordan Love, 41%. That's ugly, ugly, ugly stuff. Like you're not going to be able to win that way if that's the offense that you're trying to dial up when your quarterback is hampered. I saw a clip going around today of the Eagles last time they wore black jerseys against the Green Bay Packers. It was like week 13 of last year. It was a Thursday night football game. The difference in how he moved in that game to who he's moving right now is like night and day. He looked a lot more athletic a year ago than he did today, or than he does now. I don't know if it's injury based. I don't know if he's getting older. I don't know what the answer is, but I do believe that them acting like he's healthy and that he can run a quarterback one design run offense is one of their biggest problems right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then sprinkle a lot of other stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I put this tweet out earlier in the week. What are the Eagles offense good at?
Not much right now. The quarterback sneak, the tush push.
They're good at pushing a guy. And we're getting penalties all the time on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're trying to outlaw that for the Eagles by calling penalties, this and that, offside, false start.
Yep. They're not doing anything specifically well. Couple more things on the Eagles offense that I think is a problem right now. It's predictable. Let's just say it. This offense is boring. It's lackluster. It's high schoolish. Not high schoolish, but I don't know if high schoolish is the right word. It's very
the same.
It's yeah, they do what they do. And if they do what they do, if they do what they want to do and it's not working, they're going to continue to do it.
Yeah,
like,
that's the worst.
That's the problem. Like they're like, if you look at just like kind of specific offensive charts of like what's going on with the Eagles offense and what they do, they run spread formation at about 50% of the time. That's about 10% higher than any other team. They run motion at the fewest rate in the NFL. I believe it's like dead last. I don't know the exact percentage. So spread formation, no motion, and they don't go under center. They've only been under center 4% of the snaps this year. That's like bottom 32nd by a wide margin. So they're a spread shotgun offense with no motion. That's what they do. There's no in between. There's no like, we'll show you this look. We might go to another look. Like the Nick Sirianni offense is there's no like other hands in it. There's no like we're taking stuff from other offenses. We're taking other plays from here. They do what they do, and when it's not working, it looks really bad, and that's kind of what's happening right now. And I do think a lot of it is like not adjusting to last year. So defenses are playing the Eagles a lot differently than they did last year. And they are still trying to replicate the success that they had in 2022. So right now, the Eagles are seeing zone coverage at the sixth highest rate in the NFL. They were 32nd last year. Eagles are seeing man-to-man coverage right now at the 26th highest rate in the NFL. They were first last year. Teams have adapted to what they did last year, and the Eagles have not adapted to the changes. Teams are playing too high coverages a ton on the Eagles, and their offense is not adapted to it. I don't know if you noticed this in the Seahawks game, but when they went over the middle, they were doing pretty well throwing the football. Jalen Hurts is 9-12 throwing the ball over the numbers in between the numbers in that game. And I don't know why they just continue to hamper that, because that's what defenses are. That's where the open part of the field is going to be if they're going to play too high coverages.
They tried, but then you had like towards the end of the game there. I mean, there was at least a handful of occasions that I could see that Hurts just bailed the pocket.
Yep, the last third and was a 3rd and 7.
Yeah,
at the end of the game, that was probably the worst play I've seen Jalen Hurts make all season. Clean pocket. I think the Seahawks were rushing 4 or 5. I don't know exactly, but they weren't blitzing. And Hurts had a clean pocket, and he just bails with the game on the line.
I still say the Jets interception there is probably
There's probably a couple bad ones, but that's where the game was lost, and that's where I kind of want to maybe transition this offense talk to, because I don't think it's like a Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson issue, and Jalen Hurts is missed of criticism here. I don't think he's playing well at all, and I think he needs to play better. He's getting paid $250 million here. This is a guy that's supposed to solve problems for you. This is a guy that's supposed to lead your offense. He's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback. You paid him to be a top 5 quarterback. He's not playing like one at all right now. So I think he deserves a ton of criticism as well. You're right. He's bailing on pockets too early. He's not seeing open receivers. And I think a lot of his easy buttons are just throw the ball to AJ Brown and man-to-man coverage here. Where's AJ Brown? Just throw the ball to him. And that connection just hasn't been there the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Do you have optimism that this will get better?
No.
You don't?
No.
Explain to me why.
I think they're going to get their ass handed to them by the Giants, and we're going to like
Shut up.
Shut up. Hit the panic
you
button.
think they're going to get their ass handed to them by the New York Giants?
I lose. No matter the score.
Lose the Giants at Christmas Day at the link.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. If they lose to the Seahawks with that quarter, it's Drew Luck. It's Drew Luck.
I'd say Drew Luck or Tommy Vito. Thomas, what do you think the spread is in this game coming up?
Eagles are at home this one, right?
Yes, Eagles are at home. Have you? Don't look.
No. I haven't looked. Okay.
7.5. No, keep going.
Oh, it's higher.
The Eagles are 13.5-point favorites over the New York Giants on Monday. The Giants are plus.
I'm not a betting man, and I would never bet against the Eagles. I'm just saying, if you're betting football and you have no emotions connected to this game,
so do you actually firmly believe they're going to lose the New York Giants on Christmas Day?
No, I don't firmly believe they're going to do it. I'm saying they're playing so bad football that I would not be surprised if they can't score a touchdown in each half of this game, and that the Giants pull off some scramble bullshit deep play down the field. James Bradbury slipping on the turf. I like something.
Tommy DeVito zone reads all over the place. Like that's I think that's where you would lose.
Like he can scramble. Eagles can't stop scrambling quarterbacks. I mean, Saquon Barkley busting out some massive play. They scored 20 points. Eagles can't muster up 17. Would not surprise me one bit.
I think they're going to be okay. I don't know if this is an elite team like the Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, I think the Buffalo Bills belong in that conversation right now. I would just like to remind people, like, I know that it seems like the sky's falling, and I'm probably part of that. Like, I'm worried about this team. I'm not going to lie. But from weeks 1 to 12, so if you take out the last 13, if you take out the last 3 games, the Eagles offense was 5th in EPA per play, 6th in success rate. Jalen Hurts was 6th out of all quarterbacks in EPA per play. So they had a top 5 offense and basically a top 5 quarterback before they lost to the San Francisco 49ers at the link 3 weeks ago. So it wasn't that long ago that this offense was clicking, the team was moving the ball, and they were scoring points.
Right. I mean, yeah. If James Cook catches that pass down the sideline where Nicholas Morrow got cooked, we're talking about a completely
Yeah,
different
but I
game
think
there
you
as
can do
well.
that with a lot of like different games, right? Like
You can do that with a lot of different games. You can do it with a lot of different teams. And just saying, like it for the Eagles specifically, you can do that in basically each and every single game. Like Kansas City Chiefs, Marcus Valdes-Scantling holds onto that ball. Patriots game, you have a guy wide open in the end zone as well who drops the ball. Washington, if they go for 2 at that point, like they probably win that game as well. Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, wide over the middle, drops the ball right there. Could have been another touchdown. Like it's the Eagles are. I have never seen a team win games because the opponents drop the ball for easy touchdowns in the same manner that they do, and they win this game by this much. Like it is so close that we're talking about a 10-4 team and a 6-10 team, like or 6-8 in that part. Like quick math. It's they're just not very good right now. It's and sorry, they haven't been all season. Like the only basic like the what is the convincing win they had this year? Dolphins? I think that was a pretty calm game.
Dolphins was a nice win. They
Yeah.
beat the Cow but like that's a very like Dolphins are a very good team. They
But
went
Cowboys,
into
they asked them to beat them that game. What they
I
had like
don't
four
like see.
drives.
I'll push back. I'll push back on that. Like the refs on that final drive were like they basically walked the Cowboys down the field on that final drive.
Because James
Like
Bradbury made a massive pass interference. Like going back to Bradbury.
yeah, I thought the Cowboys game they deserved to win. I'm going to push back on that one.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think I don't look. I'm not saying you're wrong. They're probably not a 10-4 team. Like you're probably looking at more of an 8-6, 9-5 team. Like I think the record it doesn't show how good they are. But even with the record, the stats I just showed, like 5th in EPA per play, 6th in success rate. Your quarterback was 6 out of all quarterbacks in efficiency. That's real numbers. That doesn't take in the record. Like those are statistical facts that this team was a top 5 offense through 14 games, no matter what if fucking someone dropped the ball or whatnot. So they can get back to this. And I do think there's optimism that shows they will. One, I trust Jalen Hurts still. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be fine. They have a very easy schedule coming up. I think if you're going to figure out how to get shit done and try new stuff and see what's worked, what doesn't, it's a great last 3 games to do that. Right?
Right.
Like
I
you
guess
got
for me, I'm not worried about Hurts. I'm not worried about AJ Brown or Devontae Smith or I'm not even worried about Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat and all these guys. Like they have talented players. They have good players. But you had 14 games to adjust some sort of coaching. It's been the same shit over and over and over. We talked about the same stuff each and every week.
but I think this is also the first time that we've seen Nick Sirianni kind of face some type of adversity since the beginning of 2022. So maybe some things do change now. It might be too late to adjust those and implement them and install those in practice. I am with you. The confidence in me and Nick Sirianni is dwindling by the day because I don't like how he handled that press conference yesterday. I don't like the shot inside Matt Patricia, how that all leaked to the media. Like I don't like how that kind of all went down. We're gonna learn a lot about him. Sorry, over these next few weeks. What's your
Yeah.
confidence level in him going forward? Like,
I just don't. Yep. One thing is that he has bad press conferences, and I don't think he's that involved in things. I think he's kind of a little bit of a like. I think he's still a puppet of Harry Roseman. Like he'll say what he's allowed to say. I don't think that he's making many of the decisions in there, but he probably like he's involved in it, and he thinks that he's making decisions probably. But I think this is the Howard Roseman show, in terms of a lot of these things that we're seeing. But I just don't like the way that he's handling the offense, and that's what he's supposed to do. That is his responsibility, and he's had 14 games to adjust the offense to a quarterback who's had a knee injury we've been hearing about for week in, week out against Dallas Cowboys. Looked like he was a guy who was about to go out for a significant time, probably. He needs to come back in the game. But it's been so obvious that Hurts is hurt and he's not physically well, and they're just not doing anything about it. And so I'm sitting here going into week 15. It's like, why am I expecting a different result? Why am I expecting a different offense? It's the same they've done over and over.
Yeah, but you can also say like the offense can work if like I don't think it's just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not going to work. I know it's kind of counterintuitive to what I said earlier, but I just think it needs to be implemented more. Jalen Hurts needs to hit his guys more, and I think there just needs to be some like little tweaks. Like I don't think their offensive issues are unsolvable. Like I don't think you need a whole new playbook. You know what I mean?
No, I just need to expand it more than 6 plays.
Yeah. They ran like this curl flat concept. I was watching the L22 this morning. Um, like 20 times. Like
Yeah.
I don't like, it was especially on one side of the field. Like I just feel like you just watch like Kyle Shanahan, you watch like those coaches, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, like they just do such a good job of getting their guys open. And it just doesn't seem like that's going on right now in
No,
Philadelphia.
I haven't seen an Eagles player make a wide open catch unless the defense made like a busted coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Like Devontae Smith against the Washington Commanders when they just let him run freely down the sideline. That is the least contested catch I've seen from the Eagles this year. They
Mm-hmm.
haven't schemed anybody wide open at any point.
Yeah. They trust a lot in their guys. Like they're very heavy on just we're more talented than you and can come back to bite you. But I truly do think they're going to win their last 3 games. I know I said they would beat the Seahawks, so what do I know? But I doubt that they're going to lose to the New York Giants twice. I think they beat the Arizona Cardinals. I think that game will be closer than people think, but I think the Eagles match up well against the Giants.
Yeah,
Tommy
you can
DeVito's
get a
getting sacked.
revenge game.
Yeah, the game revenge game, and I think Kyler Murray can cause some issues, right? For the Eagles defense, but like Tommy DeVito's been sacked like what 8 times a game. He's basically on pace to break the sack record for his over a 17 game span. They don't have a lot of weapons. Like I think the
I
Eagles
just feel
match
like
up
when
well.
when Eagles are going up against players who has been sacked like a record number of times,
They
they
don't
have
sack
like
them.
they have like half a sack.
Yeah, it's because of Washington, right? Like that was a lot of like the Sam Howell stuff going in this year. Um, okay, so what else? I think that's pretty much it. Um, what here's what do you think the predict? What do you think happens to this team at the end of the year? What do you think the storyline is? I know it's a few weeks away, and we're still about a
Oh,
month into the playoffs. But let's go into a time machine here. Eagles gets to the playoffs. How does it go? I know we have a lot of time. We'll be talking 4 or 5 times maybe since then, but as of right now, what do you think happens to this team at the end of the year?
I think they'll lose a close game in the playoffs. Like I don't think they're gonna get blown out like they've done to the Cowboys and the 49ers. I think they're going to be competitive in the game that they play. I don't know if they're going to play 1 or 2 games. I'm not expecting more than that. Like we'll see what the matchup actually looks like. Maybe we'll get a Cowboys Eagles game. Can we do that? No, wait.
What round? What round are you talking? Like, do you think because they're not getting the 1 seed? They're
No, no,
gonna
no,
have
no,
to
definitely.
play.
No, so they're going to run. They're. I think it's gonna like it's from what we're seeing right now, and I'm not sure a Giants or Cardinals game is going to change my mind. Like they just got whooped by competition.
Yeah, that's
Um,
part of the problem with this too. It's like we're not going to see them play good competition for a bit, right? Like, so it's
no,
hard to kind of like get a gauge if they figured shit out too.
yeah.
Mhm. So right
Yeah,
now they're in the
I
five
think we're
spot.
talking about a wild card or division count exit.
So right now they're in the 5 spot. Okay, so if they win their last 3 games, they're going to win the NFC East. If they do lose one,
Are
they
they
need.
though? Because they had like Denise Salzman has like a had like a strength of schedule thing. Like depending on who wins how much of the last remaining opponents.
I
Like if the
think it's the
Cowboys
I
opponents
think
start winning game,
I think it's if they lose one. Like I think if the Eagles drop one more, then they need the Cowboys to lose one more. I could be wrong here.
strength of schedule is going to be determining, right? If Cowboys win out and Eagles win out, they have the same record. It's going to be strength of schedule. That's going to determine who's the winner.
I could be wrong, but I think if the Eagles still win out, then they win the NFC East.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I would have to look into it more, but I thought that's what the
Let's just say
game plan
it's a
was.
pretty good chance.
Yeah. Let's say they get. Let's say they do. Let's say that happens. Okay. Then they get the number 2 seed. I don't know. They still have to get ahead of the Lions too, right? Because the Lions are right there at 10-4. So you're probably looking at a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, or if you finish the 5 seed, you're going to Tampa. Like those are all very winnable games. The team that would scare me the most is the Los Angeles Rams. They're about to play tonight on Thursday Night Football, but their offense is on fire. They're second in offensive DVOA over the last month. They have a top 10 passing offense. Kyron Williams looks like a star. So that team would scare me the most. But like, I think they could definitely beat the Vikings. They could definitely beat the Seahawks at home. I know they just didn't, or that was on the road, but I don't know.
Play them against the starting quarterback. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I found it here. Eagles need Vikings, Bucks, Chiefs, Buffalo, and Arizona to beat Jets, Chargers, Carolina, Seahawks, and Lions in total wins. If both Eagles and Cowboys win out, those teams are going to be the determining factors who has the best strength of schedule.
I don't know what that means.
No, it just means that whoever has the best record of Vikings, Bucks, Chiefs, Bills, Cardinals, or Jets, Chargers, Panthers, like not good teams, Seahawks and Lions.
So it looks like the Eagles would get it then, right?
Yeah, unless suddenly Jets, Chargers, and Panthers start to look like teams that don't want good picks.
Yeah,
we'll see that sometimes. But
the Chargers, the Chargers play the Bills on Saturday. I don't know, but I think they're going to win the NFC East out of all this, which is pretty wild. And they'll be 13-4 getting into the playoffs. Anyways, we'll talk more. We can definitely talk playoff scenarios and whatnot going forward. Anything else?
Let's see if they beat the Giants first. Let's see if they beat the Giants.
And we'll probably talk.
The worst Christmas ever if they lose to the Giants and the Fighting DeVitos.
Are you all ready for Christmas? You got everything bought? How's Christmas looking at the Petersen household?
Everything's bought. Yeah. A lot of turmoil going on, a lot of things up in the air. But yeah, presents are bought and there's food. So what could go wrong?
It's all that matters, baby. So that will be what 10:30 p.m. It will be when the Eagles kick off on Christmas Day for you.
Do they have is it a 4:30 game?
Yeah, they're the midday game.
Nice.
Or mid-afternoon game.
Yeah, that's important.
All right, so do you want to get a prediction in? You just predicted they're going to beat them. Do you have a score?
I'll say Giants 2017.
Oh God, that would be a nightmare. I'm going 31-13 Eagles. I think they friggin' roll and they hopefully put some shit to bed. But
I think Nick Sirianni this week has more interest and spends more time figuring out how Boston Scott scores than how to fix the offense, because that's the kind of guy he is.
You might not be wrong. You want to hear something crazy? So Boston Scott, his average anytime touchdown odds score all year were plus 900. Right now at FanDuel, he is plus 290. Sportsbooks are absolutely selfish pigs, man. They're literally profiting off of this shit. They know that Boston Scott dominates the Giants, and they've completely swung his odds because people are going to bet on it, and they still don't give a shit. This is like the classic sportsbooks are fucking evil. This is a prime example of it. Plus 900 all year, and tell me he's plus 290. Boston's got 78 yards all season, Thomas. 78 rushing yards, and he's plus 290. It's disgusting. I was disgusted when I was looking at it.
Are they evil or are people stupid?
Both.
Okay.
But FanDuel should not be taking advantage of that. People's stupidity. Anyways.
That's what they do. That's what betting companies are for, Brent.
All right. I think that's all we got.
Thanks. Make a living off.
Anything else, Thomas? Anything else?
No, don't bet.
All right.
You lose.
I will be betting. Don't you worry. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. Thomas and I will be back some point next week. Break down maybe what happened on Christmas Day, but we'll discuss more. Kind of a weird spot this Philadelphia Eagles team is in. Hopefully they can get it figured out on Christmas Day and going forward. Make sure to check out Thomas's YouTube channel, Breaking the Birds. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, Double Doink Podcast. Make sure to follow us both on Twitter, and we will talk to you later.